Do you have a favorite parable? I do. I mean, it depends on how you count. There are 42, 43, 44 parables in the Gospels. Some are, retold, and so it's kind of hard to get an accurate count. But, 40-some parables of Jesus. Think about this. God chose to communicate to mankind, to humankind, through these stories, these short stories. And I have several that are favorites. I mean, the prodigal son is hard to beat, Luke 15. Parable of the Good Samaritan. I love that story. It tells well. But I kind of like those short parables in Matthew 13, the kingdom of heaven is like. And maybe my favorite one of those is the kingdom of heaven is like a man who was out for a walk, and he stumbled across a treasure buried in a field. And in his joy, he buried the treasure again and went off and sold all he had and bought the field. And I love that turn in his joy. So he found a treasure that was buried. It was a buried treasure. It's interesting, the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God parablets are all about small hidden things. About an oyster, which would be not an oyster, a pearl. A pearl, which is in an oyster, and where do oysters live? They live in the bottom of the sea. So it's hidden. Yeast in the dough. You can't see yeast. A mustard seed. These are small. The treasure was hidden, and then he didn't discuss it with his family. He didn't think about it. He didn't weigh his option. He saw this incredible treasure, and in his joy, he sold all he had. There was no compulsion. There was no obligation. Nobody was chastising him, saying, "You better sell all you have and buy this treasure," because when you see this treasure of the kingdom of God represented by the King himself, Jesus, I think you kind of go crazy. You lose your mind. You do anything you can to sell everything you can to get the treasure that is the kingdom of God.